So do you have a VA loan and wondering about your repayment options with regards to forbearance? That's what we're going to talk about today. Over the last couple of weeks, I've done videos on repayment options with regards to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, as well as FHA, but haven't touched on VA because quite frankly, there's not a lot of information out there that's recent with regards to talking about the payment options with forbearance. But I've had viewers reach out and ask this question, so I wanted to take the time and explain what we know so far. Now, I encourage you guys, as always, to ask me questions, to reach out and put in topics that I can touch on. And so that's where this video is coming from today. So, for those of you who continue to watch and continue to comment, I appreciate that. For those of you who are new to my channel, if this topic interests you at all, real estate in general, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. And if you like this content, give me a thumbs up. So, what we know so far, right, is that if you have a VA loan and you need to go into forbearance, that the VA is there to help you, right? All you have to do is make a call to your servicer and have that conversation. Let them know that you're having issues making your payments due to something related to COVID, whether it's a loss in income, you've been furloughed or what have you, and they should grant you that forbearance. Now, the initial forbearance period that they should grant you is 180 days. It can be extended up to an additional 180 days per just a simple request by phone. So you should have up to a year's worth of forbearance as an option if you need it and you have a VA loan. Now, the question that most people have is, how am I actually going to repay those missed payments at the end of the forbearance period? Well, that's what, we're going to talk about in a little bit more detail here. Now, VA hasn't necessarily come out and said, we have this deferral option like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and FHA have, because, they've set specific guidelines on, taking those missed payments and adding them to the end of the loan. But I had a conversation with someone that knows VA loans very well, and they told me that VA has always kind of had a deferral option as an option on the repayment plan. And so therefore, that might be the reason that they're not coming out specifically saying anything about, having that deferral option as a repayment plan. But keep in mind, if you have a VA loan, if you're a veteran, the Veterans Affairs is there to assist you, right? They want to do as much as they can to not only encourage home ownership, but keep you in the home. So if you're having an issue with payments or not being able to make your payments for that matter, they are going to do what they can to assist you. But right now, I'm aware of a couple of different options that they have outside of just paying a lump sum in order to get your loan reinstated. And reinstated is when you bring your loan back, not necessarily current, but you set up some sort of plan to repay those missed payments, at which point that forbearance or disaster loan or whatever it is that's put on your credit will be removed, and at which point you could potentially refinance or potentially purchase another home without any issues. So, the first option that VA has is a repayment plan, and that repayment plan is the option to take those missed payments, spread them over a period of time in your loan, and repay them as part of your monthly payment. So if you missed a payment that was, say, $2,000 and that was over 12 months, let's do $2,400 because it's easy math. You break that down into 12 months, that's $200 per month in payments that you missed. What they might do is add that to your current payment, that $200 over the course of the next 2 years, at which point you would be current, right? That would be a repayment plan. The other option would be a special forbearance, which is essentially what we've done now, but that would be almost extending a forbearance for an extended period of time to allow you to remake those payments. And then the other option would be a loan modification. And that loan modification is where they actually modify the terms of your loan. Now, there's a couple of different loan modifications that VA considers. One is the standard modification, which is they basically just modify the terms of your loan, whether they extend the terms or whatever. It's just a basic modification of your loan. Now, the second option is a streamlined modification, where they modify the terms of your loan and they don't require any additional paperwork. It's kind of like a streamlined loan with VA, where you can refinance with them, and they don't require any paperwork, any appraisal, that sort of thing. In the past, that's how streamlines are done. This is essentially how the modification would be done. It would be a streamlined process where they don't require any information from you in order to modify. The third would be a VA affordable modification. And now this is where they might reduce your interest rate. They might extend the terms over the loan. It kind of sounds like the traditional modification, but it is different, where this is more of a modification of potentially multiple things. Now, keep in mind, I'm not getting into a lot of detail out there because there's not a lot of detail to explain on how these actually work. I think it's more of a case-by-case basis. And that's one of the things, is you're going to have these conversations with your lender, and you might get a hybrid of some of these options. And then there's other options like the VA disaster modification, which I think most people right now that are in forbearance are going to be considered under that disaster modification. And this is, again, where they don't require loss mitigation paperwork or any paperwork that's associated with it. And they could modify the terms of your loan, modify the interest rate, modify the payments, the maturity date, all of that stuff in order to keep people in homes, in order to keep you from going into foreclosure or having additional issues in the future. And then there's one called the disaster extended modification, which is an extension of the disaster modification that I mentioned a moment ago. Now, I'm not going into deep detail on these because honestly, that's what I know, is what I've put out there right now. And then you have some sort of deferral option, right? Which is what I mentioned previously, which is where they take the missed payments and they allow you to defer them to your loan balance at the end. Now, VA hasn't put out specific guidelines with regards to COVID on how this would work. But, with FHA, right? VA and FHA a lot of times follow similar guidelines. And what FHA has done is that if you are current on your mortgage as of March 1st, and it's an owner-occupied property, and you've made a certain amount of payments, 3 payments, consecutive payments in a row, they will allow you to take those missed payments and add them to the balance of your loan, at which point you refinance your property, you sell your property, then they need to be paid off, but not before those times. So that's how it's working with FHA. At the moment, we don't know how it's going to work with VA because there's not a lot of information out there. But as I've told you guys in the past, as VA puts new information out, or any of these guys, any of the government-sponsored agencies, Fannie, Freddie, FHA, with regards to HUD, as they put more information out, I will be sure to update you and provide you with more information. But as I mentioned at the beginning, the Veterans Affairs is there to help you. They are there to make sure that you're getting taken care of, whether it's, helping you get into forbearance, extend forbearance, modify your loan. So just know that you've got people that are there and willing to work with you. But it takes communication, right? These options aren't going to automatically happen. You're not automatically going to go into forbearance. You're not automatically going to get a deferral or a loan modification. You're going to have that conversation with VA to talk in more detail, right? Because it takes that conversation for them to ask you the right questions, to know what to do in order to help you. So I encourage you, if you're in that position, make the phone call, know that you've got help. And if you have comments, questions for me, do me a favor, comment below. If you have questions on topics for videos, or you want me to touch on something in more detail, do me a favor, comment on that as well. And I'll be sure to do that. So I appreciate you watching. I appreciate your support. If you're a veteran, I appreciate your service. And I look forward to speaking with you guys real soon in another video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.